Hi, my name is Ray Wayne Gonzalez, and welcome to Things You Pretend to Know About, where we talk about things that you think you might know, but really you have no idea.
Things you pretend to know about. Things you pretend to know. Things you pretend to know about. Things you pretend to know.
Hello. Welcome to Things You Pretend to Know About. So today on the show, we have my friends from the LGBTQIA community. Well, not everyone from the community, but people from a few different aspects from the community, and they're so great. Some of them are my best friends, and some of them are my new friends, and some of them I've known for a long time, and just all around just so willing to be so open and talk about their experience and teach me and others of, what it actually is, what things actually are like, which I think is so important. And even myself, who I thought, was very liberal and open and knew a lot of things on the subject, I came out learning so much. And if you feel like you don't know certain things about the LGBTQIA plus community or about the trans community specifically, there's so much you can learn from this podcast. So yeah, everyone is so funny and so fun, and I made them a shitty pasta dish, and no one even complained. So that's how you know they're great people. I hope you like it. Love you. Bye. I probably shouldn't sit in this chair because it's so creaky.
Nice. It's the wombo noise.
Can we go around and just introduce ourselves first, if you guys want? Maybe you can introduce yourselves. I don't know. Is that weird to be like, I'm Gam and I'm gay as fuck? Like, no, that's what we're here for. I know. It's just like, okay. So yeah, if you could go around and I guess like your sexual orientation or your gender identity or pronouns or whatever. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. You want to start?
You need to start? Hi, I'm Michael. I'm a cis gay man, and I go by pronouns he, him, his, or she, her, hers.
Okay, cool.
I'm Cam, cis man. I go by he pronouns.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm Shelby. I'm a cis woman. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm pretty gay.
My name is Asher. I am a trans-masculine, non-binary person who uses he, him, his pronouns.
My name is Kaylin. I don't really talk about what pronouns I want to be referred to, but I am bisexual.
Huh, that's interesting. I didn't know that about you.
I mean, I don't know.
But also, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So I want to start off, like, I know a lot of people say that they always just knew that they were different in some way, like from their sexuality, but was there could you recall a time at all when you're like, oh yeah, I'm probably this, or no?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Can you
elaborate on it?
I feel like it's a yes. I'm trying to think of like my earliest memory of being like, yeah, like I like women. But like it was so natural. Like I thought I liked men and I thought I liked women, and like I feel like I felt like that like before. Yeah. I don't know. I never really thought of it.
I think I knew when everyone else was like Justin Timberlake, and I was like,
you're like, no,
it's Britney. And I have this really, I think, distinct memory of like connecting the dots for me. And I don't think it's really about like knowing when you know, because you can discover that anytime, obviously. But we used to have these fake weddings in kindergarten on the playground, and I went to a really religious, like Jewish school growing up. So everyone was just really excited to like play house and like get married, and we had like seen all of these things happening in temple, and we're acting it out. and I was going to marry like the coolest girl in school, and I seriously remember this, and I won't say her name.
For all my followers out there.
Yeah. You know, in case I get famous. No, I'm just kidding. But I remember being so excited, and then these other two people were going to get married in the beginning, and one of my really good friends was going to like officiate it or whatever it's called, and then it started to be PE and we ran out of time, and I remember feeling so upset and thinking that like I always just loved, I guess, like attention as a kid, and I'm not really like that now. I kind of like think of myself as an extroverted introvert, but like as a kid I was just like, it was finally my time to like be in front of the class and like be friends with everyone. But no, I just really wanted to marry this girl. And then looking back, I think you kind of connect the dots of your childhood. I don't know if anyone else has had those experiences, but it's funny seeing things in like a childlike innocent sort of way, and then realizing that that wasn't what I thought it was. But that's kind of validation in a way for me personally.
Yeah, that's
you
super
know?
interesting.
That's a very specific moment.
Yeah.
It took a while to find that moment, but
That's what I was looking for.
people had asked me that before.
Yeah, sure.
And it kind of took, because I would always be like, I think so, because I always knew, but I didn't. And then I was like, this one thing I feel like really like stuck out to me as an adult. If you want to call me an adult now, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kind of. Pre-adult.
Pre-adult. Trying.
We're trying.
To adult.
Yeah, exactly.
Young adult, if you will.
That's like 13.
I think I had like something similar to that, but like mine is not as like cookie cutter. I think I was like scrolling through like HBO, like came across like a cat house something once at like 9 or 10, and there was just like lesbians, and I was like, I like this. Like I was like, mine is like
Oh my gosh!
not as
At like 4 o'clock in the morning one time, my
Yeah.
mom had just gotten HBO, and I was clicking through, and it was Shannon Doherty. Do you guys know her from like Charmed? No.
Which one?
Shannon. She was the black hair. She was the first one. She was jet black hair
Okay.
in the first. Before
I know
there
her.
was Rose, whatever her name.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know before Rose.
Oh,
Or I don't
well,
remember at
never
least.
mind. But there was like a crazy lesbian porn.
Yeah.
I turned it off though. Remember, I was the innocent one. I turned
Yeah,
it
you were
off.
the
I was like,
innocent one.
I can't deal with this. But yeah. Anyway, so that was like your sexual
I
awakening.
think that's when I knew that like
HBO.
I knew it's like something similar. Like my Barbies used to like be like married like when I was young, and then like I think like sometime like I stumbled on like some like
Okay,
porno.
I'm so happy. Like, I would like make my Barbies have sex.
I do all the time.
But like
All the
when I
time.
didn't even know what sex was.
I think that's
Crazy-
normal
crazy
though, right?
stuff,
For
too.
kids.
Yeah.
You're just like, I feel like they need to be
I was
close.
like, for kids, right?
anything.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, yeah, I just like people. You know, I'm just like attracted to
Right.
people.
Hence, like pansexual. Do you know anything about the origin of pansexual?
The origin, no.
You don't
but
have to.
I know like the definition is like what? Like you don't see a gender, you're just attracted to who you're. That's like my understanding of it.
I think
right?
it's like you are attracted to people regardless of their gender.
Right.
So it's more like I don't like you because, like, for example, like I'm a woman who likes women. It's like I'm a person who likes this
People.
or that. You know,
Yeah.
whatever it
Yeah.
is. Where like I think a lot of people think like it's very similar to bisexual, which it is in a lot of ways. But like I think there is some difference.
I think there's a difference
Right.
too, but I don't know where I fall.
Well, because you all, as long as I've known you, you've identified as bisexual, and then
Yeah.
like later on, you identified as pansexual.
yeah.
Yeah. I think I just
feel
like looked at your
flip-flop back
MySpace
and forth
once, and it was like
depending on, my mood, I
pansexual.
suppose.
Yeah.
No, because
Yeah.
like I can honestly say that like I think for the most part I'm like sexually more attracted to women than I am to men. So like that doesn't really fall into the category though as bisexual, right? It doesn't constitute as like, pansexual. Like, does that constitute as pansexuality? Even though I feel like more sexually charged by women. You know, I don't
That's
personally.
an interesting question.
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't get
Don't look at
myself.
me.
I would love for someone to explain
I
to
don't
me
think there's
why I
a
think
straight,
it's like,
there's
yeah.
a straight, haha, straight, an answer, you know, for that.
Yeah.
Everybody has
Straight
their-
answer.
There's definitely not a
There's
straight
not a
answer.
straight answer for any of this.
I used to define
Yeah.
as pansexual before I chose gay. Did I choose it or it chose me? I don't know. That's just how I felt, and I thought it made sense. And until I started experimenting more, that's when I was like, I prefer this romantically.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I've also understood pansexual as a modern term to encompass all identities. I thought of bisexual for the longest time as just the norm of like, not the norm, the binary of two genders.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like very like
Right.
well, that's the thing is like a lot of people think like bisexuality is like trans exclusive and stuff.
Yeah.
When then that's like a whole thing, but it's
Yeah, it's just falling into a whole new
Yeah.
umbrella of
yeah.
Yeah,
things,
because that's
exactly.
what I would think too. Like,
Yeah.
if that means you're open to dating trans people and like
Yeah, but I think-
non-binary.
I think it also like encompasses it in the sense that like you could be bisexual and date a binary trans person, like someone who's like I'm a trans man or a trans woman,
Right.
because technically like that's a binary gender,
Right.
sort of. But
Yeah,
like
can I ask
maybe
you about that? You
Yeah.
said that you're non-binary mass.
transmasculine.
It's
Yeah. So
transmas-
that's what I was gonna say is like my whole thing. So I've basically come out like 4 times, which gets a little exhausting after a while. But like, so you asked for like a specific time, but like I feel like there was never a time. It was just like my whole life I always knew I liked women, like from a young age. And I remember like, looking back on old photos, I would always dress up in my dad's clothes and not my mom's clothes. Like I would always like ask my friends, like all like the girls that like when I was like 5 years old, I'd be like, if I was a boy, like would you like me or whatever? Like all these different things.
Interesting.
And none of that, of course, like meant anything at the time. Like I didn't know what it was. And then when I was in high school, like I never really came out as anything. I came out like saying like I'm dating this girl, but like that's it. I never said like who I was, anything like that. And then it wasn't until I got to college, my sophomore year, that I like kind of quote unquote discovered what it was to be like trans, things like that. And I was like, oh shit, like I identify with this, but I came out as non-binary at first because I was like, this is how I feel, like whatever. And then once I started physically and medically transitioning, like I started hormones, I had top surgery. I definitely just was, well, even before that, I was like, I identify as a trans man. Like I only want to be seen as like a guy. And I think it's because I just wanted to be seen as the opposite. Like I just didn't want to be seen as a woman. So I was like super macho, like trying to like mask myself up. And it actually has taken me until like in the last like 6 to 9 months or something to be like, actually like I was right. Like the first time, like I don't have to be like super masked to be this or identify this way. Like I'm kind of really comfortable with just being like a person. But like, I mean, you obviously can't see me because it's a podcast, but like
Right.
I have like a big like thick beard.
Let's take a
Like
picture.
yeah, exactly. But like like I look very masculine and things. And like I like when people like refer to me as like a man or something, like it annoys me and stuff. But like for everybody else, like they see me, like not everybody sees the world in a
Sure. I mean, like I know a lot
specific.
of just
Yeah.
to like. I also wanted to have this conversation to like clear things up for like the like all our parents, not our. Well,
Yeah.
even mine. They're our parents. I'm saying that because we're Unitarian Universalists, like obviously, so that's like a super hippie religion,
Yeah,
basically.
super lit, like-
And yeah, that's another podcast, but like,
Catch me again on the next
yeah,
podcast.
listen to my next
Unitarian
podcast
Universalism.
about Unitarian Universalism. But I feel like even my parents have been like, just don't get it,
Yeah.
don't get like non-binary or like they them pronouns or
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
and like I know like I've heard a lot of people being like, for women who want to transition into men, they're like, well, aren't they just a tomboy? Like, so like,
Yeah.
could you like clear that, or if you're able
So like
to?
there is no answer. Like that's the thing, is like gender. So like it's not really a spectrum. It's kind of a continuum. Like there's
Right.
no.
Or most people are in the middle.
Yeah, like there's no
Like a bell-shaped curve.
for sure, and
Yeah.
there's no like specific like answer to anything. And like there's multiple, like I would say there's like 4 or 5 continuums. There's like your like assigned at birth, like anything like that, your gender identity, your gender expression, your sexual orientation, and your romantic orientation,
Right.
which everybody forgets about the last
Yeah,
part,
yeah.
because like those can be like kind of what you were saying, is like you're more sexually like attracted to women,
Yeah.
but like that doesn't necessarily mean you're more romantically attracted to women or
Right.
anything like that.
Right.
But back to your question, is like there is no answer about like what it means to be trans, and there's like a hashtag that goes around. It's like, this is what trans looks like, and it started like a whole conversation that ended up being like, this is not really a good hashtag to use because it's not what trans looks like. It's one version of what trans looks like. And like, I think it's just a matter of like anything. Like people aren't gonna always understand what.
I mean, like
they don't
I could be me
experience,
and
you know?
feel not like a woman and be like, I'm trans because I'm non-binary, and that'd be totally acceptable.
I know a lot of
That's
people.
like that's
that too.
actually like how I feel though.
Yeah.
Like I thought about this question before, and I've thought about this question like a lot because of like just with the political climate and stuff, and I'm like, I don't think I've ever really felt like a woman.
You hate wearing dresses.
It's not that I hate
Well,
it.
I'm just not that
it's
matters,
being femme.
but-
I like to be femme
But like
sometimes.
no, but that's what I'm saying. It was like at one point
I was always
you
very
hated wearing
strange, or
dresses,
not
and then
strange,
one
but I was
point,
different.
and
Yeah.
then and then you totally switched.
Yeah,
It's like
it's just like, have I ever like, and it's like, do I look like a woman? Exactly. You can't see me here, but like I look like a chick. I like to wear makeup sometimes, or like like what the conventional like old school like girl would look like. But do I feel like a girl? I can like say I don't think so. I don't really know. But then does that like necessarily mean, or it goes back to where you're saying we all exist like, or most people exist like, and it's a continuum. Like maybe I'm like on the lower, but like I don't want to transition necessarily. But like and do I really care about pronouns personally for myself? No. But do I feel like a woman? Not most of the time.
Yeah.
No.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
But I like to be femme. I like to, I like to wear like sexy dresses and have like my boobs all up, and like my hair done. But then what? I like to like not wear any makeup and just like, kind of like embrace like my masculine side and just like, just be. I don't know. It's just I can't even explain it.
Well, that's the difference. Is like there's gender expression and gender identity. as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
Like right now,
Yeah,
like
it's so many
I look
different
very
things.
masculine, but like I also like I have no problem like I don't wear like quote unquote like women's clothes or anything. I don't like wear like I've never like dresses, anything like that.
even
but, like,
when I knew you before you transitioned, you didn't.
fuck
though.
no, yeah. I always wore like masculine clothes, but like I like, especially in summer when it's hot as shit, like I like wearing like short shorts and things. And most of the time people just assume that like I'm a gay man or something like that, which is not great for my dating life because I date women, but like but like I don't really care that much. You know what I mean? I was kind of tired of like dressing and acting certain ways to cater to other people and things like that.
Yeah.
You know what I
Okay,
mean?
yeah,
So-
that's got to be such a hard struggle to like break the
Oh, yeah.
to stop caring what people think, basically.
for sure.
So I wanted to ask about like going back to sexual. So can you say those things again? Those
All right,
different
so there's
the continuum.
breakdown.
There's like gender assigned at birth, which typically breaks down to male, intersex, or female. Then there's your gender identity, and on one spectrum it's binary male. On the other, it's binary female, and then you have like non-binary, agender, gender non-conforming in the middle, and it can slide any which way. You could be like 78% on one side, whatever. And then there's gender expression, which is again masculine on one side, feminine on the other, very androgynous in the middle. There's sexual orientation, which is hetero or no same sex or same gender loving is on one side, and then it's like opposite gender loving on the other, and then it's like kind of like pansexual, bisexual, non-binary, like sexuality in the middle. And then there's romantic, which is like hetero romantic, homo romantic, and then like kind of that same like non-binary ish in the middle.
Okay,
sort of
interesting.
thing.
All right.
Which gets
Got it.
people to like think
a lot.
about
No,
way
but it makes
more.
a lot of sense, and I think that's what like when you say like the older generation.
Yeah,
I think
like
that
the baby boomers.
I think that like. Well, it is sexuality and like your romantic relationships and identity is like a multifaceted, intersectional thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not simple. It's not as black and white as like everyone like once thought.
That's
it
what
to
our
be.
society.
Yeah, and like
Right.
we live in a society where like perception is everything.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but like it's true. We all like kind of like grow up like abiding by it. So
Right.
it's
I know.
If you like handed out that like 5 things to everybody and you were like, hey, just fill this out, out, like there's gonna be so many people that are gonna be like
All over.
like maybe so, like a lot of people will be very like down, you know, one side or the other, but you're gonna get a lot of people who are gonna look and be like, oh shit, like I didn't realize, like, you know, like I dress like very androgynously, but I'm like a straight woman,
Right,
you know, whatever,
exactly,
like
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
But like it gets you to like realize more about yourself, and you might not have an answer. You might be like, oh my god, everything's like in the middle. What does this mean? But it like that's one of the things, like you don't have to have the
Right.
answers, and for some people that's terrifying, and some people it's like extremely liberating.
Yeah, definitely. So I know we talked about you coming out. I want to like talk about that. Like at what age did you feel like you were comfortable coming out to your family or your friends if you haven't come out to your family yet? And like, how was that? How was the reactions to that?
Do you stop coming out once you start? You keep
No,
saying
you
every day.
don't. No, you never do.
My friend always says
No,
coming
you-
out is a lifelong journey.
It really
Everyone
is.
you meet.
No, it's so true. I vibe with that. I mean, it's true for everyone, I guess, in our position. But like when I spoke about my grandmother earlier, like she doesn't know.
Oh, you told her?
You know, I didn't tell her. But I can't. She
Yeah.
won't understand.
Right.
I mean, I could, and I don't really think it's something that she needs to know, but she still doesn't, or maybe has an idea and kind of just like doesn't even talk
Doesn't-
about
yeah,
it. You know, it's like
doesn't
not even a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just because I know, like, it just depends on your parents. Like,
Yeah.
Maybe what you're getting at is like, when do you come out to yourself where you feel comfortable enough to share it with everybody else?
yeah, I guess so. And like, I know there's always like I'm doing air quotes, but
Yeah.
coming out experience.
See the air quotes. I'm doing it so
I
often.
So many things aren't air quotes because all these terms are just
Right,
like personal
right.
to whatever you
Yeah, I guess like
So it's hard.
coming out to myself and accepting myself for being gay was when I was around 16, and I came out to my friends, and mainly I was just so fine with being myself at this point that it didn't matter if I had negative reactions from anybody else. And I ended up losing a lot of friends. I didn't talk to my dad for a year and got in fights with him.
Wow.
But I was more concerned with me being fine with myself finally, because that was a journey to get to.
Yeah. I know you probably told your mom.
Yeah, I did actually. My mom was the first person I
She
told.
didn't care though, right?
No, but she didn't believe me, and she thought it was a phase. I like, you know,
Yeah.
she did. She thought I think I was 13. I had just hit 13, and like I told her. My mom and I have like a strange like mother-daughter. Like we're very close, but we fight all the time, like sisters. And I told her, and she didn't believe me. And I was like, yeah, like I am. And she kind of like ignored it. And then I came out to my best friend, April at the time. And that was a year later. That was a whole year later. And I was like, yeah, like I'm like bisexual. She's like, no, you're not. Well, yes, I am. And she's laughing and she's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yes, I am. I was like, you can go ask my mom. We were like, I think it was like 13 or 14. I think it was 14 with April. And I was like, you can go ask my mom. Because she was the first one who knew. And she actually left the room and went to my mom's room. And then she comes back and she was like, your mom said that, like, you know, like, she's like, yeah, I know. Like, I guess she asked her, she's like, did Kaylin tell you she's bisexual? And she's like, yeah. And she comes back and she's like, she like didn't know what to do. But like, we were fine. We were still best friends after, and she didn't mind it.
Yeah, right.
She didn't care.
The response of
city,
"Go
yeah.
ask my mom" is so funny.
I just go ask her.
Ask my
She
mom.
knows, yeah, because I was so young at the time. And I was like, just go ask my mom, because I told her first.
How old were you?
I was 13 when I came out to my mom, and I think 14 or 13, 14 when I came out. I want to say 14 when I came out to April, but I know I was 13 when I came out to my mom. And then like I just kind of I really just don't care, I guess. And I just kind of told one or two like kind of close friends, and we lived in like at the time I lived in a
had
small
known
town.
when I first met you. that you
Yeah,
were-
and it spread like wildfire.
From a
'Cause
very
we were
small
like
town.
we were from a small
Happen.
we were from a small
Yeah.
town, and I was in middle school, and I was like one of like the only Latinos or like just minorities in the entire town, you know. So like it spread like wildfire, and everyone kind of like pinned it like it's a phase, or like she's just like a loose girl.
crazy.
Like yeah, they thought
Yeah.
that I was fucking nuts. I mean, I'm a little crazy. I'm a little crazy,
But you come from a conservative household,
Relatively.
basically.
So,
Wait, can you talk about your whole experience too with getting with the schools and everything
Oh
too?
God, that's a whole
this is
podcast.
this is the place to do it, baby.
Well, I didn't come out more as I was like shoved out and had the door closed behind me in that closet. But my family is so loving and awesome, so it's all good. But I was dating someone freshman year of high school, and I just got involved with the wrong people in high school and was just doing bad things at like a young age. So I was going to private school, and my sister had gone to a private Jewish religious high school, and it was like a great community still, so it wasn't bad, more so as I was sad to leave my friends. But it was a really hard year for me, and to kind of mend things with my mom during that whole period of like depression, anxiety, and with dealing with the wrong crowd, she bought me tickets to a So You Think You Can Dance concert.
Oh my God, awesome.
Which I was so excited about.
Yeah.
And we're driving to this concert, and already, like, if you've ever watched the show, you just know it's so emotional and everything is beautiful. You know, like, I have all these feels, and I don't even know these people. Yeah. So we're driving to the concert, and again, I had been seeing this girl who was also like involved with drugs and like bad things and whatever, but we had been dating for over 6 months very secretly. And clearly she had gone through my phone or something, or just noticed us together, whatever. And like the radio's on, we're not even talking about anything. I'm like on my phone, and all of a sudden she goes, "Shelby, are you a dyke?" And I was like, "What?" And then I was in this whole like denial, like, "What are you talking about? Like, I'm still not over my last boyfriend," because I had one boyfriend for like 2 months ever. And I just denied it. She's like, "I don't know, I just see the way this girl looks at you, like it's probably this girl, and I just feel like you're getting involved in all these things. Like, are you experimenting in my house?" Like, real quote, which is so crazy to think about, because now my mom is just like really so active in the community and like so amazing. But it's like, this was, if I was 14, I mean, this was several years ago, so these things weren't talked about. There's still so much more to go, but now I feel like there's more room for conversation. And it's like, even though she was saying those things at the time were hurtful, like, you're using a slur, or you're kind of invalidating me because I'm young. It's like, I feel like she didn't know how to approach it, even though she didn't even mean to be threatening. She's like, "I just want to know because I care about you. Are you experimenting? Ha ha."
It was probably such a journey for her to get to where she is
even
now.
say that. Yeah. So we go to the concert. It's obviously amazing because we're watching like people do contemporary dance, and everything is like,
it's like beautiful.
It's a crazy story. So I'm emotional. I'm crying. And we get in the car, and I just look at her and I go, "Mom," and start crying.
Aww.
And then we don't talk about it, but like, she clearly knows, like, she's still asking questions, and I'm not really talking about. She's like, "Is it all girls or just this girl?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but I did know that like it was all girls ever my whole life." And then I went to sleep, and I woke up, and there was the Torah like on my bedside, but highlighted everything that said that like it was cool. So it was really sweet. So
I'm gonna cry. This is so beautiful.
And so I'm lucky to have come from a family that has made like big strides in their language, and like some of the things that they were saying and doing and continue to do and say to this day, like, kind of don't always make me feel great sometimes, but I am like the luckiest person in the world because so many people don't have that luxury, obviously. Yeah. But I ended up going to the Orthodox religious high school. My family is more like Reform conservative, so we celebrate holidays. Like, religion is super important to us, culture is super important to us. My grandma's a Holocaust survivor. Like, we love our faith, but we're not like not using electricity on Friday nights to Saturday nights, but all my friends in high school were. So it was kind of this weird like juxtaposition, because at home we like valued our faith, but we weren't like, this is the only way to do things. Right. But then I would go to school and have to wear like long skirts and be taught by religious people, so it's like I was kind of embarrassed in my own family in a way, because we weren't doing the things that we were supposed to do, but I was thankful for them because like I was living the way I wanted to live. And a lot of people have that experience. But in school, I wanted to start a diversity club because there were also other people either like from diverse households or like with different sexualities or disabilities, anything, just to talk about how we can kind of bubble up some of the issues in the Jewish community and talk about it and like bring in speeches. So it wasn't like we're having a GSA and I'm the only lesbian there. Like, it was kind of like, let's just talk about things besides like white Jews who have grandparents in New York. Like, let's just like talk about how we can like make a community, because like there are other people that went to the school, you know? And the principal called me in and like called me out from my Twitter because I like retweeted Barack Obama once and was like, "You're inappropriate." And then I had like multiple tests and exams where I would have to like answer things about homosexuality that made me uncomfortable. Like, thing. Like I didn't go to Jesus camp. I wasn't like abused. Like I'm so lucky, but it's like these things that kind of, it just took me a while to have these two parts of me that I care so much about. And we all have that, whether it's like where our family's from or like our own religion, whatever, to kind of not see these things as like this tension rod that's pulling, but these two things that can like intersect to make you who you are. So that, I think that took me a long time.
Yeah, and stemming off of that, I know in like Black cultures, it's not always. I've just heard. Obviously, I'm not Black, but like I've heard that. Yeah, you don't know. Well, I'm not. But I've heard that it can be. I don't know how your family is, but I heard it could be a kind of a difficult process within the older generations as accepting your family who's gay. So, did you have any problems with that, or like was it totally just kosher?
Convenient. I'm not out to my family, and rightfully so. I feel comfortable with that. They don't need to know that.
Yeah.
I'd
Okay.
rather be in a position of me being secure elsewhere.
Yeah.
And have that. I'm not afraid to do it yet because I've reached that point of just comfort with myself. I accept it, and I don't really care how they deal with it.
Yeah.
But I have old school Caribbean parents, and
Okay.
in that cultural context, it just doesn't exist there. It's not their fault that they don't want to see it. It's just that it's just not there.
Yeah.
I hear you. Yeah. I hear
They
you.
can't
I
wrap
do.
their
I
heads
totally
around
get
it.
it.
Right. Yeah, that's
And
like
yes,
kind of what
like-
I was trying to reference. Yeah, because I heard that it's just like taboo almost.
And I'm like a compromising person. Like I'd want it to be, you get it 100%, accept me 100%. Like
yeah.
no takesies, backsies, just
Right.
yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's fine though, but
Yeah.
and my friends, they all get it. I didn't even come out to my friends really. It just
It's just
happened.
like, yeah,
They just-
it's your business, you
It's my
know?
business.
So do what you want with it.
And coming from a metropolitan area, do you like when you're in other areas as like a gay person of color or, you know, a lesbian or like a trans man or, you know, like not man, sorry. That was ignorant. A trans person like going to like you're moving to Austin, Texas. Are you a little nervous even though Austin's pretty liberal at this point?
Yeah,
but, like,
so I mean, one of the reasons I chose Austin is because it's got a really big queer community. I'm moving in with another, like, he's like a trans guy, and a lot of his friends are either trans or queer. So I'm like moving to a place that like it's not like scary. I mean, it's still like, you know, whatever. But my mom was super like worried at first because she's like, Texas is like an open carry state. Like, what if somebody finds out like you're trans and like they don't like it or something? I'm like, somebody could have a gun here. It's just not legal. It doesn't mean it's gonna change anything. And she was like, oh shit, like you're right. But like I think, you know, and like I'm gonna bring this wording because we haven't really talked about it, but like I have a lot of privilege because on the street I just pass as like a white cis male. Like people don't second glance at me. I don't like I've said, like I date women, so it's not like I'm attracted to men. So I, like outwardly, like I don't look like I'm in any community. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like I'm in a minority. It doesn't look like I'm in the queer community unless like, you know, you knew me, or like, you know, depending on who I'm talking to, like my speech pattern might change slightly, you know what I mean? Anything like that. But I've traveled to I haven't traveled to the South a lot, but like I spent time in Tennessee and Louisiana and Florida and Virginia and South Carolina, like all these different places. And every time I've gone, like I haven't felt scared at all. And I know it's because I have privilege. I remember when I first went to Florida, I drove down with my two friends in college in my sophomore year. So I was like only just starting to sort of come out, like, but wasn't really telling anybody. So I just looked like a queer girl. Like you could very easily tell, or like depending on what I wear, I would just look like a young boy. Like either way, like I was like very different looking. And I was a little worried at first, like going to like Jacksonville, Florida, you know what I mean? Because I was like, oh my God, like what if like, you know, people aren't okay with like queer people, whatever. And like surprisingly, like everybody was really nice. You know what I mean? They didn't treat me any differently. I don't know if it's just because like I was a friendly person or whatever. Maybe it was just where I went that day or who I saw that day. You know, it's like really hard to generalize things. And I feel like it's definitely different. You know, I grew up, you know, I live in New Jersey and I spent all my time in New Jersey and New York. So it's like I come from this area where it's like, you know, on the Pride Fest, I'll walk around like shirtless, and like even when I was like identified as like a girl, like I would always go with my girlfriends, and like I always felt like so safe and like things like that. But I know again, like not everybody has privilege like I do.
Sure,
like,
yeah.
So it's hard to be like any voice in the community.
Right.
when
Yeah, I'm
it's,
not
like, I have
expecting
so much-
any of you guys to talk for
But I'm
everybody.
like,
Yeah.
I have like so much privilege, but at the same time, like my identity is being hidden, you know, in a way. And like
Right.
by being on the street, and even if I'm not trying to hide it, like it's not. And like people just see me as like a white man, but like that's not what I identify as either. So it's like I have privilege,
Yeah.
but it's like I'm also like my identity is being like repressed in a way as well.
Yeah.
So
It sounds so conflicting.
it's weird.
Yeah.
It sounds so
I
conflicting.
mean, the Bronx can be kind of a small town. Do you ever get like any bit like pushback on being gay at all, or?
I'm actually like a extremely private. You know that.
Yeah.
You're my best friend. I hardly tell you anything. Or like it'll be like months or years later. No, I'm like really private. I assume that they know I'm different because I live like in a predominantly like Italian neighborhood in the Bronx, and it's more so like old school. Like everyone in like a 5-mile radius is like an elderly like Italian American family or like grandparent, and like I'm the youngest like person in my whole neighborhood, but like I come out sometimes with like, you know, like my little shirts or like my little, like they must think I'm like a wild child.
Right.
You know, but the people who know me, like the locals, and like I'm very not open necessarily, but I've got nothing to hide. I don't feel like I got anything to hide, you know, and they don't really question me about it. But I do think I feel privileged, because like I am just like I guess like a femme woman, and you know it's kind of like annoying, especially like I don't really want to touch this too much, but like, you know, the guys, like 2 girls are so hot, but like 2 guys, that it's so cliche, but it really gets under my fucking skin. Like it really, it's so fucking annoying. It's so annoying.
Well, it is, yeah.
You know,
I mean,
and
that's your
another
every
podcast.
right.
That's another podcast.
Yeah.
It's like,
the
a
porn
feminist podcast.
or the feminist.
But I don't
podcast.
feel like
It's a
I feel a
porn
little
podcast.
guilty. Like I don't feel like that's fair.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And maybe that's like just very like personal, like kind of internalized, like psychological. Maybe I don't need to be, but it's like I kind of feel bad that they're, you know, we're all human. Like there are people like just like me that don't have it so easy to be who they are,
Yeah.
because they're not like in my position, you know, like so. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just
And
like
Albany,
unfortunate.
what's Albany like being like? Because I don't really know the area much.
Right.
But
I grew up outside of Albany in a very small town, which when I came out, I was the only gay man there. I'm very femme. So everyone, since they liked me already, they were cool with it. In Albany, that's where I performed often. I'm a drag queen, and I go out and drag
oh my
there.
gosh,
And
I know
love
you. You totally are a drag queen, and I've seen you perform. That's so funny. I'm like so excited. I feel like starstruck now. But anyway, go
oh,
on.
no, she's not here. But when I would perform in Albany, it's a pretty safe area where I am. There's 2 gay bars right there across from each other. But if you wander too far outside of it, you'll get people who are going to yell things at you, or like come to the gay bar even and be harassing. But like, I feel that that's gonna happen anyway, whether I'm in drag or not, and that happens in all sorts of areas I've been to, in drag, out of drag. You get harassment, or you don't get harassment. Sometimes, like, I've been in Newburgh, and people will be like, oh, Newburgh's so bad and tough and blah, blah, blah. I've walked down the street looking all sorts of crazy, and people love it. People will stop and take pictures, and you just
Because it's so different than what
you
they're
can't
used to,
categorize a place.
No,
as a-
definitely. I just know the further I lived in the Adirondacks for 3 months once,
Yeah.
and it was like a totally different state. You know?
Yeah, I mean, like rural Albany, I like in the city part, but like outside of the city, maybe. But I really feel like you can't pinpoint it, and I feel like when you're different, as in like being in the queer community, you're gonna get all sorts of things anywhere you go.
Anywhere you go, yeah. Even like, well, no, not in the West Village.
In your
but-
own.
but, yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to, you said queer person before. Can you explain, or can anyone explain what queer is exactly? Because I know I have friends who identify as like a queer person, but like what does that fall under? Is it just gay in general, or like that's what my a bunch of my straight friends have been like asked me to ask because like they like don't really know.
I feel like queer is the overarching term for groups of people who sexually identify and have however they perceive their gender that's different from heteronormative culture.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's how I take it.
And again, that's different for everyone, I feel like. And
All
that
individualistic.
term is, I feel like, something to reclaim just
Oh,
because
yeah.
of
Yes!
and I think that's the
Yes.
power in it. Like for me, up until like 2 or 3 years ago when it started becoming more mainstream, I'm like, why are people saying that? Is it bad? I like never really connected with that because I was just so comfortable with lesbian, where some people, even though they may have the same like romantic and sexual attractions to only women and may be like me in some ways, or so I perceive them to be, they connect with that term, and that's awesome and that's great, and that's what they connect with and feel comfortable with. But I think it wasn't until the whole conversation of like this was used in like the 1950s and 1970s and so on and now to be like this slur about like screw the queers and all that, like this whole liberation movement, and then to be able to say that, which is in so like reclaiming bitch, or like every single
Yeah,
culture and like
totally.
race has their own reclaiming, so it's just kind of like
That's funny. I was talking to my
Screw you.
father who's 72 years old, and so he's, I kind of have to reteach him things sometimes, and like we were talking about me doing this, and like he was like, what's the Q in LGBTQ? And I was like, queer. He was like, that's okay to say now? And I was like, yeah, no, that's good, I think.
some people it isn't. To some people it's like the most powerful thing. So it's just
Right,
kind of
yeah.
interesting, like that whole. And it's a good question because I feel like even anyone in the community is like, to me it's this, and to people I know it's this, but like
Yeah.
who knows? It's just something to kind of own, and minorities.
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
get to
like
own
if
a
I
lot,
feel
you
like
know?
if I were to like, if I like came out as something, because I feel like I'm not. I feel weird saying I'm straight, because I don't feel like I'm straight.
So what do you feel like?
Like I saying like if I were to come out, maybe I'd say like I'm a queer person, maybe, because that's like all encompassing, right? Like that's like
It's an umbrella term.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's because it can be, somebody can use their like queer to define their sexuality
This is
or
my
their gender.
this is my coming out podcast to my parents.
Like it could be used
Just
for
kidding, Mom, Dad.
anything, any of the gender identity, gender expression, anything like that. But I think it's mostly it's also like, kind of what you were saying too is like you go back and forth between like bisexual and pansexual and stuff. Like sometimes it's just like sometimes I just say like I'm queer because like I identify like I date women, I'm attracted to women like mostly, but like maybe if I found a cool guy I might be like attracted to him, but I don't know, but like that's way too much to say, so I'm just like queer is easier than
Right.
and then also like in regards to like my gender identity too, it's like I don't want to say I'm like a straight person because like I identify as non-binary, so like what would be the like polar opposite, quote unquote, like
so
of
if someone
straight.
transitions to, like say same case as you transitions to like a masculine person, could they identify as a straight
I mean, you
male?
can identify as whatever,
whatever you want. There's no rules.
Yeah.
Like, what
for a
is
while, like I
whatever,
just said, I was
but-
like, like I'm straight which was also weird going from being like a gay girl to a straight boy, but
Right.
like,
right.
yeah, I mean, you can literally say whatever you want. You know what I mean? You can, as long as it feels comfortable with you, you don't have to answer to anybody else.
Yeah.
And gender queer, that's like
It's
kind of going
another-
back to like it's
like very. I mean, it's like so. It's like. It's a non-binary term. You know, there's so many non-binary terms. You know what I mean? And like agender, non-binary, gender non-conforming, gender queer. Like those are just some of them, but there's more. And like,
Yeah.
it's you know, a lot of people who don't understand, they get mad. They're like, why do these liberals have to have so many, identities? Why can't they just be this? And it's like, well, like.
not about you.
Language changes and you're
Yes,
gonna
yeah.
like it evolves over
Totally,
time.
yeah.
Like think about like slang too. Like any slang terms,
Everything.
like
yeah.
like
We're speaking a living language. So
yeah, like it changes all the time.
Producing new knowledge constantly.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but like I just made like a really memory. I can't believe I forgot that. For a long time, I identified as lesbian. Remember
Yeah.
when I used to say that? Like,
Yeah.
and people wouldn't like.
but you would date guys.
Exactly, and nobody understood it. But this
Yeah.
was before there were terms for everything
Exactly.
else, or like before at least I knew of them.
Yeah.
And I always, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot all this. That's what made like I think
would
the biggest
always tell- I
hoopla
would
in
say
like the
that.
small town.
Yeah.
Because I would be like, yeah, like I'm a lesbian. Like people would like purposefully come up like, like what do you like, men or women, or like what's your whatever, and I'd be like I identify as a lesbian. And I did that, I think, even up until about like 2 years ago. And everyone that I met, like they thought I was insane. They could not get it. And I was like, maybe I'm just weird, but like I am more attracted to women, and like I don't know, like I just have boyfriends sometimes, and sometimes I date women, and sometimes I just like I don't know, like I feel like I like women more.
Well,
and I would say lesbian.
Everyone
Everyone hated that. Everyone hated that.
Yeah, no, I remember that. I wanted to ask you. I'm just looking at my list of things. I wanted to ask you about how a lot of people have said like bisexuality is illegitimate. Like that's like a thing.
Bi
That's,
erasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say that to put that part of yourself more out there so people would not erase it?
Like that I was lesbian, you mean?
That you
or-
liked women, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Just so it would be
that's
like,
that's
it's out
I
here.
no, I definitely I don't think I realized that at the time. But yeah, definitely.
That's
Definitely,
interesting.
because like my mom thought it was just a phase.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a really small town. I was just one of like the only, I think, and now more people are out, but like at the time, this was like 10 years ago, nobody was out, and I was so young, and I was just so different that like it just, people didn't get it. My friends didn't get it, my mom didn't get it, everybody else like kind of didn't get it. It really wasn't until like this whole movement, until I understood it. Like really, it really wasn't until like I'm like, oh, like this is a thing, that's a thing, and it goes back to like
I don't
the
understand
words,
how people even start to think that bisexuality isn't legitimate. I just don't.
I have thought about this, and I actually came up with the answer.
Tell me.
Believe it or not.
Yes.
This is it. It's because we live in a society where monogamy is the only thing that's allowed.
Mm-hmm.
So you essentially have to choose, because if you're one person, you're going to be with one person.
Yeah.
So, and like that's really what it is, because I was like, why does everybody think this? Like, what is the answer to this? Like, why can't people
Right.
understand it? And it's because at the end of the day, they think, all right, well, like, who are you going to choose? In the sense of like, you'd say the same thing of like anybody, like, okay, well, like, who are you going to marry? You know what I mean? Like, whatever it may be, or oh, you're dating this person, like, oh, I guess that means you're straight now, and it's, or I guess you
Yeah,
means
they
you're
need
gay
labels for
because
everything.
you're choosing one person. That's
There's so
why.
much
I
as a
think that's a
bisexual
really
partner,
good
it's like,
explanation.
yeah.
No, I do.
When I
think that's
thought of that, I was like, bruh, I need to tell the world this.
Tell them.
And
Tell
also, do you
everybody.
see how it kind of revolves around men in that same aspect too? Like also like the way the person expresses themselves, their gender. Like
Who's
if
the
a
man in the
bisexual woman,
relationship?
no, like a bisexual woman, she'll be more like she'll be illegitimized
Yeah.
and be called straight or whatever because
You're invalidated, I think, in every way. You're invalidated like in your sexuality, you're invalidated in like your integrity, because honestly they'll think that like either you are confused or you're a slut. That those are the only things they
I
associate
also
with
feel like
bisexuality
people
with.
think that it can be a trend, because now it's cool to be different.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's what my mom thought. My mom thought that it was a phase. Maybe I was experimenting, but I really just wanted to be cool and different. Like, you know, it was just like,
It was like a new haircut.
yeah, exactly, like a new piercing, you know, or like, you know, like I dyed my hair and I was just like, I'm like living free now.
And people think that that's in between straight and gay, and it's like that's not
different.
not what that is. Like it's not this whole like
Yeah.
it's not a transitional period. That is like a whole other.
You always
thing,
talk to me
you
about
know?
the people that you date, and most of them are bi. How is that? Like, not most of them.
Really? Did I
But like
say
a
that?
lot of people that you date recently have been bisexual. From an outsider looking in, Shelby, yes,
a lot of
that's
people
what's
that I
going
have
on.
gone on that I have gone on dates with. Have been bisexual.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
like,
I guess. Yeah, but
have
I
you
guess I've
thought
never
twice
thought
about it, or like?
No, not at all. But I think that what I've heard most people say in this whole realm of like shitty things that people say because they don't understand. They don't have the tools or the language to understand.
Right.
You know, it's about like resources and connections and all that. But I feel like some people feel like, oh, if I have a bisexual partner, like, what if I'm not enough? You know, that whole like.
Right.
Yeah, that's
The
also
whole
annoying
insecurity.
too. It's just, oh my god.
That's not what
maybe
it-
I am confused. No, I'm joking. No, but it does feel, and you get that if you're with the man or a woman.
Exactly.
So it really doesn't matter. And then I don't know how your dating life, but I find it like so hard to like date women or to find lesbian women or like bisexual women. Like I feel like because there's a huge stigma around being a lesbian or just being gay, you know, and if I find like interest in a woman or if like I know that she's interested in me because I'm like not, you know, I'm pretty emotionally intelligent, let's say that. And
are.
I can kind of get it. I will say that I have a gaydar.
good term.
I will, you know,
We're opposite.
I will throw that out there.
Well, teach me because I don't.
Yeah, me too. If
No,
there's
I-
any queer women listening,
No, I do.
please contact us.
My phone number is.
And you know, it actually always ends up working out for me because I can always like kind of tell, like, you know, and then I'll have like a one night stand or I'll end up like sleeping with like the person, man or woman. But usually with the woman, it's like, well, like no, I actually was just, you know, I get. Here's the common one here, air quotes. I get kind of lesbian sometimes when I drink, and I really want to be like, no, bitch, like that's not.
You just get horny when you drink.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Also attracted to
and if you're
women.
attracted to women, you're gonna get horny from a woman. Like,
Which is a whole
Even if
other
you're
thing of
sober,
like, do
come
what
on.
you
Exactly,
want,
exactly.
have fun, you know, like, but when you start kind of throwing around people's terms that have taken so hard to, you know, like if you want to go drink and make out with who, or if you are, you know, this way
Exactly.
sometimes and you're doing this and you're exploring your sexuality, you're doing, when you start kind of throwing around the terms like change, it becomes like less valid when people
you
have
cheapen
come
it.
to that
You
internal
cheapen
coming out
things that
to
we
stuff.
feel passionate about, that
Exactly.
identify us. You cheapen it. You
It's
know,
not
so
like
that's
you
what
want
it's
to go
annoying
kiss a girl.
about it.
It's like I become lesbian when I drink. You know, it's like things
Nayo.
like that.
You got some repressed feelings in there. It's
Exactly,
just-
and then I'll be like,
When you're
I don't think that
intoxicated,
really
it comes out.
Yeah, I was like, I don't really think that like that's what it is. I'll be like, oh, you took advantage of me, and I also want to be like,
Oh,
bitch,
gosh.
no, I did not take advantage of you.
You've gotten
No,
that?
people like joking around because I think that I have a tendency to hook up with girls like kind of like in a close like friend group ish, and I also feel like everyone kind of turns to me because they know I'm bisexual. So
You're feeling uncomfortable with your sexuality and open about it.
exactly, but then they also like kind of like pick me to like experiment.
I've had friends do that too, where
Yeah,
you're at a party and someone gets drunk and they go to you and it's like, yo, first of all, don't flatter yourself. Second
I'm
of all,
not a
we're
drink-
friends. Like,
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
weird.
But like I'm like a pretty like open, like an openly sexual person. Like I really don't mind. I'm like it's just I'm like a little hippie, and you know sometimes like I would like sleep with some of my girlfriends, which right like I'm not gonna mention any names, but it always kind of like would end up
You
very
know who you are.
strange,
Yeah.
and I'm just like it's not strange. Like what's strange about? And I think it really is just the stigma, you know, and I think it's like kind of like society's perception of it that really freaks people out.
Yeah. And there's
'Cause,
stigma in our
like-
community too. Like gay
Oh
people
my
can't be
God.
friends, which is a whole other thing that I recently ranted about.
Which is so stupid because, like, you know, birds of one. What is the
Birds of
phrase?
a feather flock together.
It's like
obviously.
you need
They really
people
don't, though.
that get you, and I have a really close group of girlfriends at home that all like women, and like we have all been best friends since we were 12, and we went to the same theater camp, and I don't know what was in that water, but here we are, and like it's theater camp.
What's on that theater camp?
And we each had our own like experiences of like coming out, where I was kind of the first to, I think, maybe understand or at least vocalize my understanding, and then everyone had their own journeys. And now it's like whenever I'm home, we go out together, we group text all the time, we talk about our relationships, but people just assume like you guys are hooking up, you must have lesbian drama. I've seen the L word, I know how this goes, and it's the same with like all queer people or gay people or whatever you are. You know?
I feel like a straight person made up that rumor because sometimes your gay friendships, your gay friends are like, it's so tight.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, it's not even that.
The comfort is just so.
I can
I was
edit
gonna say,
this
no,
out.
'cause it absolutely is a straight person. Like, absolutely. Like, the straight people, like, come on, let's just be honest.
Oh,
Like,
don't edit that shit out. They need to know.
I feel like
no, I don't know, but I don't want to, like, oversimplify. Like,
Sensitivity edit.
like, not all straight people are like that, but, like, it's just like,
But to protect them, right?
It's sexualizing too, you know. Like
It's like the same thing. I feel like I don't remember where I heard this, but it was something where it's like when you're from an oppressed group, you have that deeper bond with other people because like even if it's like super subconscious or whatever, like you've been through something deeper that somebody else
Exactly.
might not
Just
have
like,
been through.
just like I always found myself like some of my best friends are Puerto Rican, and like I didn't plan it. I just
yeah,
like you,
exactly.
you know,
Well,
like
we come from the same culture.
Exactly.
You know,
People
like,
of the same cultures, people of same experiences tend to like. That's what the only reason I said. You know, I have so many different friends from different like races, backgrounds, whatever. But like, it's just like
It's
the
like
way it is. And then
anthropology,
half of my
like,
friends are
basically.
white because I'm half white. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
It's like
I remember one time it was this past year, I was at my friend's Hanukkah party and they were all talking about like Judaism and all this stuff, and they brought up, they're like, yeah, like all, like not all Jews are friends, but like
Jewish
Jews,
geography is a sport.
yeah, like Jews get along because like they've been through some shit, and like even if you didn't, like it's in your blood that like this, like one of the worst things in history like happened to like this group of people, and like obviously it's like, you know, there's there's a lot of other groups that this has happened to. Again, I'm only talking like what I know. I mean, like, well, my dad's side of family's Jewish, so whatever. But like, you know, they said it's like even if you're a tiny little bit Jewish, like there's something in you that like you just get like a deeper connection to people because like it's literally in your blood, like that this like trauma has happened, sort of thing.
yeah, that's super interesting.
And not that like being in the queer community is traumatic, but
But it's a different experience.
It's different. It's
from my experience, your experience is totally different. Like all of your experiences.
And like, you
it
just
can be
get it.
traumatic for queer individuals if you're getting kicked out of your house and just
Oh, yeah,
it's
exactly.
traumatic. And I feel like hetero people see queer identities as such a as only sexual in nature, that of course that if we're only hanging out with each other we must be having sex because they're all sexual
Just like
identities.
orgies every day.
It's just ridiculous thinking based in
Sounds
ignorance
great.
of my
totally.
We also have to think
Yes.
that's based on a community, or like a, you know, we live in a society where like cis straight men and cis straight women can't be friends because everybody just assumes that they're going to
Exactly,
see each
that's
other.
the same thing.
People just want to put people in like together and, you know, sexualize everything. That doesn't have to be sexualized.
Totally.
It's still like we're still playing with Barbies and just making them.
Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk about dating actually for a little bit. Well, you guys are dating.
Can
Gan
you see
and
us?
Michael. Yeah. So how did you guys get together?
How did we?
Did we get together?
You wanna...
Yeah, I'll dive into it. I've known about him since he moved to New Paltz, but when we started dating, we met in a local bar, Snugs, and I just like asked him if he wanted to come home with me, and we hung out. And
I never stopped.
And he never went home.
A year afterwards.
And
So here we are.
How is like
That's so beautiful.
dating? I know, I love it. By the way,
It's a nice connection.
and Snugs of all places too.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
I mean, we met a few times before then, but we'll say Snugs because it's really romantic.
yeah.
It's not romantic.
It's not. It smells like
Is it like a
shit.
local?
Oh no, it's like a local
No, but
dive
it's
bar.
about
that
the
smells like-
vibe. It's about the connect.
Deep sea
It's about the
dive.
moment.
Deep sea
You know,
dive.
like
Oof.
Yeah.
There's a dog in there that is
multiple
I'm sold.
dogs.
Let's go. There's a dog. Let's go right now.
I'm down to take a trip
It's
to
a
New
shameless
Paltz.
promo.
Shouts out to Snug, the $2
Yes.
beers that are always pretty trash. So I mean, I talk about your dating life on a daily basis as much as I can. How is like, and you talk
We won't
about.
call anyone out.
I lived through your lesbian experience. 'Cause I wish I was.
That makes one because
I love that line. Your lesbian experience.
Because I wish I was one. Yeah. So, but you talk about being too femme.
it's interesting
air quotes.
because I think that a lot of this is a result of me coming out so young, because after conversations with my family, I always felt like I had to prove it, because it was either like, well, you own the entire Essie nail collection from spring 2014 and you wear heels, and like you had a boyfriend a year ago and you're too young, so you don't know what you're talking about. Like all those things were implied. So I've always loved like writing and English. So when I was 15, I started freelancing for the Miami Herald in the LGBT section as a way to like prove like, oh, I'm a lesbian, here's my street cred, you know,
Yeah.
of just like writing. I wrote like a personal essay about coming out to my grandma, which was like hilarious and very positive, but she's just like an old Jewish lady who's an amazing woman. And like I printed out an article that I had written, and she stared at it for like 7.5 minutes and then looked up and like stared at me for another 3.5 minutes and was like, I don't have my glasses. Like the whole thing it was just, I mean, so I was just writing like personal stories. And then one was called like the Universal Femme Fact, which is just talking about like erasure in the community, which now it's like I think about some of the conversations that I started having when I was 15, which like no one is having good conversations at 15, you know what I mean? And now it's like I have so much privilege. I can walk into a club and pass immediately. Like, are my rants to my friends going to be about how I walk into Henrietta Hudson and like I'm wearing heels and no girls want to talk to me and give me a dirty look because they think that I'm the straight friend that they brought? Like, that's frustrating, but that's so much privilege because I can pass and walk down the street and like,
But like,
I'm a white
for a
cis
second,
woman,
let's
you know what I
forget
mean?
privilege.
Yeah, so I just want to say that. But
I understand that
think
you do.
that like,
But like, talk about how you only got hit on by a guy.
yeah, I mean
on
that
New Year's
happens
Eve.
all the time.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, is like
You need to be
within the
where
like
if I-
lesbian
or if I like
Yeah.
go out, like
yeah, you actually do. You should go
everyone
out,
else
Caitlin.
can be wearing like jeans and like a t-shirt, but I'm just like, I want to wear heels. Like I look like shit now, but like my face will be contoured. Like I'll be wearing red lipstick, my hair will be curled. Like I just love, like I just
Being
love doing
feminine,
this. You know what I mean? And like,
Mhm.
so I think that that's my big insecurity, which I know is like a privileged insecurity to have, but I think just growing up, it was always like, haha, really? Prove it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that maybe if I would have been like more mature by the time I came out, I could have like felt more comfortable with myself. But at the time, all the representation on like television and music was all these extremes. So it was like, should I be butch? Like, should I? And that goes with anything. Like, people think that two butch women can't be together because that is gross or sexual, or two
But
femme
doesn't
women
that
can't be
stem
together
back
because
from
that's
like
gross or sexual?
gender
you know?
versus sexuality and how they're just
Of
so innately
course.
different?
Yeah, and it's like if I go out with a girl like to a club or going out, and like I'm usually into like pretty feminine women, so if we're together, it's always like a bunch of guys, always, every 5 minutes. Like we can't do anything because we're both wearing lipstick and heels, and like we can't dance. And then even if we're at a gay club, to be honest, people just think that like we're really drunk girls when I already said like I don't drink, so I'm holding orange juice, you know? It's just so there are bigger problems in the world, but I think that that's just my big insecurity, is like I'm obviously not straight, so I don't fit in there, but many times the gay community has also made me feel like I don't belong because of my interests. And I've always felt growing up like girls won't like me because I don't, you know, do these things.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you go out, but like,
I'm always.
He works in
Yeah.
nightlife.
We met at a bar.
I figured I didn't want to
3 nights a
assume,
week.
you know. But so like, wait, straight white girls going to the bar, gay bar, is it annoying? Because I've heard a lot of like, don't do that. Like
It's
that's
only
annoying.
annoying when someone is just acting a fool.
When they're like,
I feel-
yes, queen, like all
You
the
can be
time.
like, yes, queen, but don't pull on my wig.
Right,
You can
right,
be like,
yeah.
yes, queen, but don't like pull on me or like be crazy.
Okay.
If you just like act right,
Not that I don't say yes,
so
queen all the
disrespectful, I
time.
if you just act right,
Yeah.
then nothing
And
would
that-
be an issue.
so that
it's
happens
just kind
all-
of like I guess but like
Yeah.
I know the queens locally where I am will like peg it on white girls coming into the bar wasted because it's typically them who are doing it.
Yeah.
So I mean like that it's not all of them, but
Yeah, of
a lot of them
course.
where I'm at.
Okay, well, if you're offended, you're the problem.
Good.
Yeah,
But even with pride and shit, it's kind of more like just help us cultivate these spaces
Yeah, yeah.
instead of infiltrating.
Yeah,
like,
I do
you
agree
want to
with
be
that.
here.
Instead of-
Everyone
yeah.
knows someone. You know what I mean? Like, be part of the fight. Like, minorities are minorities, which means that they're smart. Like, we need everyone to care. And like, yes, this is a party, and yes, this is a beautiful thing. But just be here and know that it's not about you. And if you're respectful about it, like,
Exactly.
so I don't know about like the nightlife scene or anything like that, because as a performer, as like that's your community, that could be a different thing depending on where you are. But I
No.
think just with gay spaces in general, like that's how I felt. I'm like, you're here, that's fine, but like know why you're here. I know that this is the only place where we can usually look around the room and be like, okay, everyone's like us. I can hit on this girl and not be like, you know, just that whole
Right.
dynamic.
Absolutely, and like that's the main thing that we are gathering and organizing so that we can feel like a majority for some amount of time, and that people like hetero people coming in are often infiltrating. But at my shows, I often explain why we're all here, to give the message and how to be a proper ally. And if you're not going to be a proper ally, then you need to reflect why you're here. And I try to emphasize that at every show. So,
Yeah.
Good,
A
yeah.
proper ally, I would say, is like in a scenario, you're the person taking the photo, not standing in front of like the camera.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, I would just feel so strange, like with like my gay flag.
Well, I
paint
just
on
wrote a
my
whole
face
article
and-
on that.
Oh, my bad, Freddie. I haven't read it yet, but I'm gonna read it
but
now.
It's just very about, yeah, it's just about pride.
Exactly
It's just
that.
about pride and how to be a part of it
I did
without
see that you
exploiting
posted
it for
that.
your Instagram. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that a lot of times ally is thought to be a synonym as I don't hate gay people, not I'm actively doing something to help
Yeah,
this
there's a
community.
difference
When
between an
people are
active
around.
ally.
Yeah, like being an ally doesn't mean you tolerate it, or
So
you're like,
how
I don't
could-
have a problem with it, I'm an ally. Like if you're an ally, you need to do more, and like that.
So how could you be an active ally?
There's a that's like a.
I think it's personal.
That's another podcast. Yeah, that's another
Like,
podcast.
give me like
And whether that means
a
educate
brief.
yourself, educate someone else, like
Show up when it's necessary.
show up when it's necessary. Don't assume people's pronouns. Like, donate to a cause if you have money. Like, you could find your own ways, and there's so much that we all need to do. Like, I'm guilty of not being allies to other things in other communities. Like, I'm always trying to learn more because
Right.
it's hard to do everything,
We can only do
especially
so
in
much,
the political climate that we're in.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're a bad person if you're not an ally, but hopefully you can become one. But don't think that just because your fourth cousin on your dad's side is gay and you met that person once, then you're an ally because
Yeah.
you are not an asshole, you know?
So I have a question about the gay flag. So did you see how the flag added the black and brown stripes? I was just talking about this with a coworker, Jude. Hey Jude. Hey Jude. And I was a little confused by it, but I figured I would ask a person of color who is gay and you as well. Like, how do you? Because when I saw it, I was like, but isn't it supposed to be all inclusive? Like, what is the point? Like, what is the point of adding those two colors to represent people of color?
I'm not sure. I'm actually pretty unclear about.
A part of me is like, I didn't really see it much.
So
Like, in Pride
basically-
recently, I didn't see it much
Yeah.
integrated anywhere.
Yeah, me either. That's why. Like,
It's like-
Yeah.
like
People are trying to like make it a thing because like what you said, it's like the flag in general is, I mean, it's representative of, you know, originally like gay, you know, pride and things like that, but it's supposed to be all inclusive. But with everything that's been happening, you know, in the last, you know, years and things like that, especially like recently, obviously like people of color are a much more marginalized group than anybody else. So when you have that intersectionality, like you need more representation. And like I'm not gonna like be a person because like I'm white, so I'm not like I don't really think it's my business to say whether or not it should be on or not. I mean,
No,
but I
I'm
have
not-
the same.
I'm mad at it.
No,
just
I have the
am
same mindset as you
confused.
though. Is that like, it's, you know, the colors in general. Like it's supposed to be a rainbow. Like it's supposed to be
Right.
all inclusive
Right.
anyway.
Yeah.
So like pinpointing those things out,
Because it almost makes it feel like
I
the rest of the
understand
rainbow
it.
is white then.
Yeah,
You know?
like I understand it, and like I understand why people think it may be necessary, but I think people also need to stop getting mad so easily about like if you're not down with it, and like if you question it, people are like, oh, so you're racist. It's like
Right.
no, like
Yeah.
let's like chill for a second, talk. Which
Yeah.
again is we could go into an entirely different.
That should be the name of my
podcast.
podcast. Chill for a second and
Yeah.
talk. That's what it should. That's
Yes.
renaming it.
Yes.
Maybe I will.
Do
Maybe
it.
I'll rename it. Chill for a second and talk. Well, that's pretty long too. I don't know. Well, let me think about it. Oh, I had one last question. Like, with the Trump administration being in the White House right now, like, has your mindset? I mean, I know we're in New York, so we're all very like pretty in a bubble. But like, has your mindset shifted at all? Like, been a little more on edge or whatever? Because like the racists and Nazis and homophobes are out of the closet,
Absolutely.
out of their closet.
For sure.
I like from him even being in the campaign, I feel like I've just had to be as gay as fuck, be exactly who I am at all times, no matter what, educate people to the best of my ability, and be able to organize all people who are considered different by this administration, organize them in spaces, and let's discuss and let's build a stronger community. Because with stronger community, you can have the ability with discussion to make changes and form relationships that can achieve greater things than this administration can ever achieve. And it's really easy to feel like you have no power when you're standing up to a presidency, but really there's more power with us, and that is something that I try to translate through unity and organization. And of course, I'm even in my personal life, I'm more on edge because I feel like I could be harassed or hurt at any moment. But I feel like all of that happens out of fear, and I know that I have a strong community with us that can help me cope with some bullshit harassment that I'm experiencing
Right.
elsewhere. The most concerning part is legislation being passed around it, which makes you feel powerless.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I feel like the trans community a lot. has been,
absolutely,
like,
yeah, there's specific
endangered.
communities that are targeted.
Targeted, yeah, that's a better word for it.
It's hard. It's easy to feel like you can't do anything, but it's important to overcome that within your own community and trying to overcome what this administration is doing.
Yeah.
When it
I
first
go-
happened, I was
I go really out of my way to have a good time though, despite this administration. I really try to have
Yeah.
fun because
Good.
You have
I'm a-
to.
You have to.
I'm politics. I'm a super political body. Like just me living and having a really good time is an act of what radical
Yeah.
Absolutely.
expression. I mean, and at the addition to all these little things that's under his big foot.
Right.
Queer person of color. My family is immigrants. We're ESL, lower income, all of that stuff. So I really make it tenet for me to enjoy myself despite all of that.
Right. That's
Yes.
great.
Yeah, that is great.
just living is like an act of activism. in
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Like when it first like happened, I went through like this phase where I was like, I'm gonna like get rid of all my social media. Like I don't want anybody to know. I'm gonna hide. I'm gonna like do all these things. And I was like, you know
Wow.
what? Fuck it. And I like did the complete opposite. I like constantly posted like shirtless photos and was like tagging things and like literally like I would tweet like at Donald Trump and be like
Yeah.
like literally tag him in things and just like be like, yeah. But then I blocked him.
Before he could block you.
But like literally just
Cheers,
like being like, you know what, like fuck it, like, you know, change didn't happen from people hiding and sitting around like waiting for something to happen, and like maybe I'm not out in the streets, you know, rioting and stuff, which I'm really pissed. I remember at the Women's March I literally had the flu and I was so upset, but like you know, and it's like kind of doubles back on what we were talking about a little bit before, is like you know, being an ally and things is like you can't do everything, and
Yeah.
that we have to get over this mindset that, oh, like you didn't do this, you didn't do that, like you're a shitty ally, you should just give up. It's like any little thing that you do, like what you said, like you're just going out and having a good time, like that's you being an active ally to your own community and to other people, because like you're like, it's just like, you know, there's varying degrees of being an ally and what you can do and things like that, and that could totally be another podcast, especially going into feminism and angry feminist rants.
Oh, gosh.
I got you.
Yes.
We'll be back.
That's my thing, but that's another story for another day.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a good place to end on, but do you guys have any like last words to motivate anyone that's listening?
I guess just the biggest thing in our political climate that you can do is pay attention, because even though there's a lot of really great journalism going on and a lot of people working very, very hard, it is very hard to filter through, you know, what's believable and all these things. So while, you know, Russia may be the headline, conversion therapy is very, very legal in so many places, and trans people in the military are getting completely screwed over, you know, so it's just like taking the time to pay attention and to understand all the little things that are going on is something that I've been trying to make an effort to do as someone who's not politically savvy, you know? So
Yeah.
if we all can do that, then maybe we can do better.
Well, tomorrow I'm having a podcast about politics and all of the shit I don't know. So with her boyfriend.
Right, it's funny, like, not to get too into it, but I just had a thought, because, you know, he's like, he has this job where he basically, it's really hard to explain, but he works for like a non-party type of organization. Like, they technically can't claim a party, but they only like investigate Republican like candidates or like people running for Congress or whatever. And so he basically is like a spy. Yeah. And he tells me, he comes home sometimes because he's going into like hours into like bumblefuck New York or like Pennsylvania or just basically anywhere like in the tri-state area, and he comes back with these crazy stories sometimes of like the people that he meets like at these like, you know, these rallies. Or the other day he was driving and there's this one station I guess he listens to somewhere like 3 hours up that he listens to it because it's so crazy. It's basically just this guy who's open to any question or any topic, and just people from like the small town will like call, or whoever's in, you know, the area. And this one guy, he was telling me this, I can't remember the specific details, but this one guy called, they were talking about conversion therapy, or I think he was like, he grew up like in a really, really like Orthodox, like a Catholic house or something very strict and conservative. And then he came out as gay and was living his life like as a gay man, I think for like 10 years, but like was just going like, you know, kind of like wild with it, I suppose. And he ended up contracting HIV. And then when he contracted HIV, he came back to his community in his hometown and went through like conversion therapy and was on like the line being like, yeah, I lived my life gay for 10 years and I got HIV and then I found God and now, and he goes, he's like, yeah, something like, it hit me like that too. And he was like, and I found God, and you know, sometimes like, and he was very like, I guess like blunt and like blatant about it. He's like, I found God, and every time, you know, I still get desires, you know, to like with men, but I just know that's the devil talking. Yeah. And I have a wife now and kids, but my wife and I aren't into, like, he was just kind of like just putting his business all out there, it sounded like, but it was just wild to me that these things actually exist.
We are
I
so
know
in a
they
bubble.
do, but it's always like, it's always crazier when you're like, wow, this is like a real person, or like this is like, these are really things that
In the
go
United
along.
States of America.
In the state.
Yeah.
And we're in a blue state. And God, I really don't want to get political.
We're just
I'm trying not to.
Come on tomorrow with your boyfriend and we'll talk about it. But
Thanks, Ray.
well, I want to thank all of you guys because I've learned a lot. I thought I knew a lot, and now I know more. So, and hopefully I can learn to be a better ally as much as I can.
I learned a lot too.
And I didn't know we had a celebrity on the panel, so so thank you guys so much, and yeah, that's it. Love you. Bye.